Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Kelly coming to you live for Hemlock Farms Conservancy from Pike County, Pennsylvania. And this week I'm going to answer a lot of questions that I got during the past 2 weeks about recycling, the refuse center in Hemlock Farms, and what we can do to be more sustainable. So I welcome everyone that's watching now. And the great thing about this video is it will be up forever, so you can tune in and look at it anytime you want. So let's first start with the first question, which was, Miss Kelly, what do we recycle? And that's going to be different for everyone's neighborhood. So if you're watching in Brooklyn, you may have different items that you have to recycle than here in Hemlock Farms. Or if you're watching from London, I have friends in London that watch sometimes, you may be recycling something different. But in Hemlock Farms, we have a list of our single stream recycling items, and you can get this at the administration office. And it lists all of the acceptable items. And we have a couple different ways we recycle. There are separate receptacles for corrugated cardboard too. Trex recycling is coming to the refuse center where you'll be able to take your plastic bags. But for now, we do have this list of acceptable items. And I think most of us know that if you look at a plastic item, and it's kind of hard to see, but you'll find a little triangle on that item that's right above my finger here, and we can accept 1 through 7 in Hemlock Farms. But know what your community accepts and doesn't accept. So that's for plastic, and it's on all kinds of plastic items, these little triangles with the numbers, and we take 1 through 7. I've got all this stuff to show you, all these visuals today. And then cardboard and paper, when you do recycle it in the correct places, you want to fold it as flat as you can so that it takes up less room, and that some of those items go into that single stream recycling. So I'm going to read a few of these so you have a couple of the examples. Things like beverage containers, detergent containers, yogurt cups, shampoo bottles. Paper, like paperback books, magazines, your junk mail, construction paper, wrapping paper, as long as it has no foil or glitter on it, Post-it notes, egg cartons that are paper, not plastic. Paper towels and toilet tissue tubes can be flattened out and recycled. Clean aluminum cans, clean aluminum foil, glass bottles and jars, and you can also recycle their metal lids, but you want to separate them and put them in individually. So let's go back to one of the things that I mentioned there, though. Clean aluminum cans, clean glass bottles, clean plastic bottles. People asked me, Miss Kelly, why does it have to be clean? Well, that's a good question, right? You think it's garbage, so you just throw it away and it can stay dirty. But the thing about recycled items is they're going to be recycled and used again to make new items. So their cleanliness is important because they all go into this single stream process, which is so popular throughout the country. And if you have a soda bottle, say, that you put in with paper and other items, and it soils one of those other items, it can render those items unusable. And then do you know where they wind up? In a landfill. And a landfill is not a good thing. We don't want that to happen. We want our recycling stream to be able to be recycled and used again and repurposed. So it's very important that you keep them clean. And another reason to keep it clean, in our area, what do we have? We have a big rodent population. Raccoons and mice and even rats can get into recycling and create problems for the workers and for the items themselves. So we don't want that to happen. We want them to go in clean. And what's clean enough, people asked me. Well, it doesn't have to be clean enough that you might eat out of it again, but it needs to be clean of food residue, and it needs to be dry. That's also important. A couple drops of water are okay, but you certainly don't want to throw a half-full water bottle into recycling, which is one of my pet peeves anyway, because water is part of the water cycle. So even if you have a little bit of water left in a water bottle that you're going to recycle, pour it out on the ground outside so that it can be part of the system, not trapped in a plastic bottle in a recycling bin. So clean enough, and what I do, I wash my dishes with a little dish pan. We don't have a dishwasher in our little house, and that's a great way to clean items. But what we do is after I've washed the dishes, I wash my recycled items with that dishwasher, that dishwater, and you get them clean enough to go into the bin. So what else was I asked? So that's the what and the how. Then people ask me why. Why are we recycling? What is the purpose of this? So we go back to landfills. If you've ever lived near a landfill, which probably a lot of us in Hemlock Farms never have, we have the privilege to live in this beautiful place in the forest. It's gorgeous, and someone just takes our garbage away, right? But that garbage has to go somewhere. And lots of it winds up in a landfill. And that's why recycling and recycling properly is so important, so it keeps a lot of those items out of landfills. Some of those items will never decompose and just stay in the ground forever and ever. So it's our privilege not to live near a landfill, but many people do live near landfills. And it's normally communities that are pretty poor. Often Black, brown city communities are unfortunate enough to live near landfills because we don't think about our trash stream. So we really have to start thinking about what we buy, what we do with it when we're done with it, and trying to live more sustainably. And so people will ask me all the time, what does sustainable mean? Well, I like to think of it as living strategically. Living in a way that you can maintain on this big blue planet. We want to protect this planet, not just for us now, but for our children and our grandchildren and their grandchildren. So that many, many generations can live on this planet and appreciate the beautiful things that we have around us. So what can you do besides recycling? And I 100% encourage recycling because sometimes you can't avoid these plastic containers or paper. But we can also start to think about what we purchase. We can think about new ways to purchase things like shampoos and detergents and lotions. A lot of them come in, and you probably know this already, in bar shapes. So you could buy shampoo like this. You can buy dish detergent like this. And if it's dish detergent, you can keep it in a cool vintage dish. And you get a little brush for cleaning. And that's a way to clean your dishes without having a plastic bottle at all. So our family is starting to buy those products as we kind of phase out all these plastic bottles. And then you can also reuse things. I love to buy vintage fashion, and I have a lot of vintage shoes, and I have vintage hats. I love vintage clothing. So that's one kind of way you can reuse an item. But you could also have a can or a bottle, and you could turn it into something pretty, like this, like a little planter. And plant a plant in a can that's bright and colorful and put it out on your deck or gift it to someone else. Or that same plain yogurt container. You could have a fun project with your kids and use some stickers that you have or little art pieces and plant a plant in it. And there are so many ideas. You can go to Pinterest, you can go online to so many different pages and come up with ideas of your own. But that helps us to live more sustainably, to recycle, to reduce packaging, and to reuse. And so those are hows, what, whys of recycling. I like to remind people to think about everything before you purchase it. Do you need it? Do you want it? Could you live without it? Or do you have something at home that you could use in the same way? When we think about every choice that we make, we take care of the planet. And that's an important thing. And the other thing that I tell everyone, I love it when you shop local. Shopping local protects our local economy. It helps our businesses thrive, especially in this kind of late pandemic, hopefully post-pandemic eventually we'll get to, where so many business owners have suffered because people couldn't go out and shop or were unable or are not willing to do that. So check out local businesses. Check out local farmers markets and CSAs. I'm going to give a shout out to my favorite, which is Josie Porter Farm in Monroe County. They have a great buying club and a CSA. And there, when you get your produce, you don't get a lot of packaging with it. It's beautiful, fresh, local produce or produce that's sourced close to local in their buying club. Lots of variety, lots of unusual foods to try. And so one last thought to end with, you can go online and learn a lot more about this stuff, about living sustainably, way beyond what I share every month. There's a great website, and I keep all my notes on my phone, so I'm going to the notes so I can read you some of the websites I'd like you to check out. There's one on recycling, which is ecology.wa.gov. This is on Washington website on recycling, but it has a really good tutorial on how clean is clean enough for recycling. And then our Conservancy friend Dan Berg, a little shout out to Dan and Diane Berg. They shared with me a really cool website called asustainablelife.co.uk. I'll share these links later underneath this video post. But that has all kinds of really cool, not very hard, guilt-free ideas for you to look into to be more sustainable in your own life, whether you're here in Hemlock, whether you're here in Brooklyn. You are welcome, Julianne. Thanks for tuning in. And one more link that I love. It's a shop that started as a pop-up shop in Brooklyn. It's called Package Free. They have lots of package-free products and compostable products that you can buy for almost everything in your home and life. I don't think they have clothing, but all kinds of detergents and shampoos and little scrub brushes that you can use, and most of it is package free and a lot of it is compostable when you're done with it. Super cool thing. Check out Package Free. That's what I have for you today. I am always asking everybody to be patient with changes, and there are a lot of changes with reducing refuse center, recycling center, and Hemlock Farms. They're still evolving. I ask you, as a person that's a steward of the planet, to be patient with those changes. Changes are hard. You know, we have change in our pockets. What do we want to do with it? We want to throw it in a jar and not deal with it. All change is difficult, but if we can be patient with each other, everybody's learning, and we certainly welcome your suggestions back to Hemlock Farms Conservancy. If you don't have this list, I'm willing to scan it and send it to you, so just private message me here at the Hemlock Farms Conservancy Facebook page. And I think I've talked enough for this morning. I love all of you. Let's love the planet together, and I will see you next month with Miss Kelly Live. Bye, everybody. Thank you.